of baseball and frustrations of the game.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Is this good? All right. Yeah, it's been a challenge throughout my career. I've dealt with injuries, and DL time, something that I know Jeremy and I can share.
You got it, brother.
It's tough. But there are a lot of ups and downs in the game, and I think this is such a performance-driven enterprise, and you can wrap your identity in that performance a lot of times. And for me, I find so much strength in my faith, knowing that it's not about how much I can do or what I can bring, where my identity is found. It's in my relationship with Christ. It's in accepting the Holy Spirit as a daily active participant in where I find my strength, and staying plugged into staying plugged into the Lord. And it would be very easy to go out and a tough day like today for me, just some stuff, balls fall in, and you try to find answers, and you focus on what do I do, what do I need to change, and a lot of times it is like Jeremy said, it's just relaxing. And for me, my faith is kind of central in that. When I can rest in the Lord and realize that it's not about me, it's not about what I have to bring to the table, it's not about me coming back from the DL. And I think a lot of things are put into our journey to open our eyes to where the Lord's leading us. And sometimes it is injuries to just show you, like, hey, everything's going great, you're feeling good, but you need to rest in me. It's not about your effort and what you can bring to the table. It's really about opening your eyes to what the Lord's doing, and sharing that, and sharing those blessings with the people around us, and just loving them. And there was definitely a point in my career where I didn't know if I was going to continue to be able to play. I wouldn't have guessed that I'd be here today sitting with these guys and being a part of such an amazing community of believers and ball players. And I'm just so thankful that I can sit here and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Lord's in control of my life, and that I can rest in that, and that He has bigger plans for me than I could ever imagine. And so being here in San Francisco and getting to be a part of this team and this community, it's such a blessing and such a gift for me to be able to look back and see where I've come from, the injuries that I've dealt with, and to just be able to praise God and say that He is amazing, and I can rest in that, and that He's in control of yesterday, today, and every day going forward.
Awesome, brother. Thank you for that. Denard, second half player, if you heard his interview yesterday. And we're liking your second half, obviously, and you got splash hits. You've been a spark plug to this team a little bit. You're getting comfortable, and just talking to you yesterday, you dealt with. Just tell me about your journey a little bit in the last year, because you dealt with a situation, obviously, with your injury last year and kind of slowing you down a little bit. And then you come to a new team, and a team like San Francisco, and you're getting settled in with this new team, and there's some excitement. You were with the Nationals, you understood what it meant to win. You were in the playoffs, you played on some fields before, some energy, but coming into a new environment, hanging out with some new guys, and dealing with the injury that you dealt with, and wondering, there's always that wonder a little bit in the back of the head, am I going to be able to produce like they think I should be able to produce, with the injury I had, and then coming out and just, how do you explain that journey and the pressure you have to deal with that situation, and how you need Jesus in those times to kind of just relax you a little bit?
Well, like you said, last year, man, it was a whirlwind for me. I had 3 surgeries in 9 months. Only played 60 games. There was a lot of uncertainty, going into the off season, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I think when everything is going good, you say you trust God, but it's not till you fall flat on your face. That's when the true test is, and that's what happened last year. I was putting pressure on myself. I was taking a lot of the burden, with all my stresses, and just doing too much. Worrying about free agency. I didn't know where I was gonna be, but if it wasn't for last year, everything I had to go through, I'm not sure where I would be. but God has me here in San Francisco,
That's right.
for a specific reason, and I truly believe that. I would have never guessed in a million years that I'd be playing this far. I'm from Florida, so this is probably the furthest I could be away from family and friends. But I truly believe that God, sometimes He separates us, for His specific reason. But fast forward to coming in off the surgeries, I wasn't sure how my body was going to, how I was going to be able to play or whatever. And I came into a organization where this was a winning franchise, and a lot of pressure. I believed in myself, but part of me doubted myself as well, because like I said, I had gone through a lot of injuries, and the first half of the season, I felt like I wasn't myself. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I don't know. I think, like I said, I think when things go bad, you try to do more. You try to do more, and there was something in my spirit that told me that I need to let go and let God.
Yeah.
And this is probably the closest I've been to God, in a long time. And like I said, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I've had some amazing people in my life that have helped me along my journey, and I just couldn't ask for just to be in a better place and be in a better position. I'm happy. Last year, this time of year, I was not happy. I was preparing for surgery, but I'm happy. I'm thankful. And I also, like the first half. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but
Keep going.
but I think even early on in the year, I was looking at numbers. I was looking at my productivity instead of looking at the big picture. Thanking God for the fact that I was healthy. I was on the field. We all get caught up in numbers and performance, but I lost track of what was most important, and the fact that I was playing the game that I love. I wasn't sure last year if I was going to be able to be playing this year, and so I think once I took that mindset, I've been able to relax and just trust God.
Amen.
That's awesome. Hunter and Shelly, they've been awesome. I've gotten to know them a little bit over the last couple of years. You all know Hunter from the fifth wheel that he lives in and makes Shelly live in it during the season, if you follow him on Instagram. But I think I've gotten to know them, and I've gotten to know Hunter a lot. And he's a genuine person, man. And I think you see him compete on the mound, but he's a teddy bear. He's a teddy bear outside the field. Don't let him get up too tough for you, man. He's awesome, man. And he's dealt with injuries himself. You've dealt with injuries. You've come back from them. You've had some frustrating times. You've had some up and downs. Your big league career has been delayed. And everybody thinks, well, that's an injury. That's a product of baseball. But you come in, you win a World Series. You're on the big league team. You're throwing well now. Life's got to be good. Life's got to be kind of you're riding the wave, And I think you guys, you're experiencing something that a lot of people need to hear. That the fact of the matter is, we still deal with things in our personal lives that can really test us, and not just injuries, but that can test our growth and who we are, and really drive us to believe in who Jesus is and what He stands for. And that word faith, like Denar was saying, and Corey's saying, when things are going good, it's easy. But when things are not going how you plan it to be, and you want to take over and say, no, this is what I want, and it's not happening, you really have to trust, and you have to lean on Jesus. And you guys have a pretty impressive story right now that I think you guys want to let other people hear.
Yeah, no doubt. First, I want to say thank you all for being here. I'm going to share something that's outside of baseball. It's more of our personal life, and we've been praying about it for a couple of days. What we're going to talk about, because quite honestly, it's pretty awkward to sit up here and talk about yourself. So but I don't think that we came to terms that to just share this story with you all. There's no better place, because we do need prayers, and I think we're all a big believer in prayers, and so to just have this fellowship here, this is kind of where we felt led to lead. But my wife and I, we've been struggling. We've been trying to have a family, start a new family for 2.5 years now, and just struggling, and nothing's working. We're beginning to wonder, and question God, why us? And I think that we all have problems, everybody has their own problems. We're human, but a lot of times we hide it. But for us, like I said, we're just beginning to question God, wonder why us. But I think that's a huge problem there. Like these guys said earlier, we have to let go and let God. And I'm not a big poem writer or anything, but I came up with something the other day. We were sitting here talking about it, and it's our story for His glory. So that's why we're sharing it with you all. But thank you. You're not gonna know me. No, but yeah, we've been struggling. We haven't been able to start a family, so we've actually been seeing specialists and doctors after doctors. And for 2.5 years, we've went through IVF, which is about the most extreme procedure you can have to start a family, and it's failed twice. So it's a matter of just letting go and just trusting Him, and His time comes. That's God willing. That's what'll happen. But if not, He's showed us numerous of times, like how good He is, and that this is His plan, and that we have to let go, because it's not about us. It's about giving back, and hopefully sharing this story can reach out to somebody else is struggling, or in whatever ways that be. So it's just kind of this. I don't know if you have anything else to touch on that.
Hi y'all, I kind of got tricked into doing this about an hour ago, so just be kind. I'm a firm believer that if God's going to walk you through the fire, that He's going to allow you to be nourishment for someone else. And that's kind of the approach I feel like, at least in the last year, we've really had a better perspective over this, because a lot of times when you're going through something difficult, it's just your perspective's off. It's like your lens. You're no longer like really looking at it, at God first. You're looking at your problem, and kind of obstructs your view of God. And we've really worked on that a lot in the past year. And the main thing I guess I would want to share with anyone, because infertility can be really difficult, and the one thing we've learned is we're not the only people who've dealt with that. There's so many people who are dealing with that and other struggles, is that you're not alone, and that God is so good. And there's been so many moments in the last 3 years that He's just really showed His faithfulness to us. And so I decided I wanted to share one story, but really I could have picked a million stories to tell you. And it actually goes back to December 2014. We had gone to this Christian athletes conference called PAO, and all the women had been given a name, and the goal was to find that person, and you were supposed to meet them, and this person was someone you were supposed to pray for during that next baseball season. And it was the last day. We were walking out the door, and no one had come up to meet me, and I was kind of bummed about it, but it's a big conference, so I was just like, they probably didn't know who I was. And this older woman comes running up to me, asked if I was Shelly, and told her yes. And she introduced me, apologized for it taking her so long to find me. All we did was exchange names and hi, I'm from here, and emails, and then we said a quick prayer together, and then me and Hunter actually were driving all the way back home to Georgia, so we had to get on the road. Anyway, that was in December. Never heard from the woman again. Really hadn't even given her much thought. And it was about March or April 2015 when we started to figure out that there was some problems going on, and didn't really know what our future when it comes to starting a family was going to look like. And I was like, you know what, God, this woman was given my name to pray for me. There has to be a reason. I need to contact her. I need to tell her what's going on. And I couldn't find her email anywhere. I was going through all my notes from PAO. Couldn't find that email address anywhere. So I'm crying because I'm an emotional person. I'm just sitting on our couch having a pity party, and just Lord, please help me find this email address. I've got every other note from PAO, but I cannot find this dang email address. And as I'm praying, my phone goes off, so I grab it, I pull it up to see what it is. I have an email from that woman at PAO who I haven't spoken to in about 4 or 5 months. Just checking in. And there's this great story in Genesis, and it's about Hagar, who was a maid to Sarah, and Sarah was the wife of Abram. And long story short, Hagar has this interaction with God, and she names God the God who sees me. And that's always just kind of stuck with me, because throughout this entire journey, that's exactly how it's felt. Even in those really tough moments when it just didn't make sense, I always just remembered, like, He is the God who sees me. He is the God who hears us. He loves us, even if He's not giving us what He wants. There's a quote that says that God's denials are just like God's delays. And it's just, the enemy speaking to you in those moments, and he's telling you, like, oh, if God really loved you, like, He'd give you what He wants. But sometimes it's in those delays that God's really building your character. He's teaching you something. And like I said, He's going to use you for nourishment for someone else. So just hold on to that.
Somebody take a job, Jimmy.
Man. We just need to have the wives come up here next year and talk. That was awesome, bro. That was impressive. Man, I think we should do a little slow music and maybe call the altar, and do something. Remember that deal. Last but not least, Buster Posey has been he's been a good friend of mine, and it's not because he's really good. Even if he stunk, I'd still call him a good friend of mine. But he's been a good friend of mine for a few years, and we've had some awesome conversations. Sometimes when we play the game, we're on the road and we're away from our families, and there are a few guys that you want to pick to hang out with just because you just have a certain bond with them. And there's a few guys on this team that's how I chose to run my career, and that's what I chose to do. And Buster was one of them. We could talk. We could talk after the game. He yelled at me during the game, but we could always talk. And rain delays, we'd hang out and we'd have dinner and we'd hang out on the plane, and we had some awesome conversations about just life. And we, I was running a little bit of a gauntlet the last couple of years, and you guys know some of my story, but just understanding grace and what it means to look on people with the eyes of grace and without judgment. And sometimes I had a really hard time with that. And I had to learn to just look with grace and understand what it meant to have relationships based in grace, to treat my teammates with grace, because you're with these guys forever, and sometimes you get frustrated with them because they don't see things like you see, and they don't talk like you talk, or they don't agree with the things that you agree with, or whatever. And you got to have grace for them. And then you have marriages, and sometimes marriages can be conflicted, and there can be a lot of stuff going on there where you got to just try to live with your eyes of grace with your wives and children, and then you're dealing with relationships and people and fans, and so Buster and I have had a lot of conversation on grace and what that meant, and just seeing this year, Buster, for me, just seeing what you're doing in the community and how you're seeing people and dealing with the pediatric cancer and children and your own family, and just some of the conversation you and I have had meant a lot to me when I played. It means a lot to me now when we text, and I just have had a great opportunity to get to know you and see just you grow, man, and you're so good at how you see in life a certain way. And I think it's just important to maybe share with people how you view grace, because it meant a lot to me and it was a huge impact on my life.
First of all, Jeremy, it's kind of weird you talking nice about me. And I will echo what you said, and I definitely enjoyed, the times we had, the breakfast, the conversations, the breakfast that I paid for.
That's right. I got up extra early for that.
But Jeremy's been instrumental in my growth. I think I've learned that it's so important to surround yourself with people that have a strong faith, somebody that's in the Word, and that has dedicated their life to living in grace. I grew up in South Georgia, and my mom and dad would take us to a Methodist church, or I'd be at my grandparents' church, which is a Baptist church. And if anybody's been to a Southern Methodist or Baptist church, it's not like the music we just had playing here. It's a little bit different. So when I was a kid, I was there, but I wasn't there, if you know what I mean. I try to listen to the sermons, and I accepted the Lord into my heart at a young age, and I think what I found is there's certain times in my life, whether it's things are going good or bad, that you're on a great path and everything feels good and you feel close and connected to God, and then for one reason or another it's gone. and it's hard to explain. And for me, I fall into the trap when things are going good, whether it's baseball, whether it's home life, friends-wise, that I feel like I don't lean on the Lord as much as I should. And you know, and then there's the guilt that I feel that when something isn't going good, it's like, okay, now I need you, you know.
Yeah.
And just trying, again, having people up here like this, people in the community, whether it's your church or friends, just being able to talk to somebody has been so big for me. And as Jeremy mentioned, grace is something that is, I mean, it's such a simple concept, but it's so complex at the same time. The fact that if you accept Jesus into your heart, that your sins are forgiven. I mean, it's hard to even, it's hard to put into words, and it's something that I still struggle to understand, because, you know, as a society and as people, as kids, when you're in school, if you do this right and you do this right, then you'll be rewarded. And if you don't do it right, you're going to be punished. So trying to understand that God says, I love you no matter what. And it doesn't matter if you do this or do that. We're all his children. And something Jeremy and I talk about a lot is, you know, I'll pose a question to him. I said, so where's the incentive to do the right thing? If you have grace, what's the incentive to do the right thing? And the reason is, if you live in God's grace, you don't have to make that choice. You want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, you want to help people, and you want to do good. And, again, thank you all for being here today. And Jeremy, I'm sure you still have more to talk about.
Yeah. I'm gonna let these guys go, man. They've had a long day. I'm gonna finish up. Anybody want to hear more Matthew West? We're gonna